In the Pokemon video games, you have a 1 in 4,000 chance of finding a shiny Pokemon. These Pokemon are functionally the same as their normal counterparts, except they sparkle and they're a different color. But it is the rarity of these Pokemon that makes them so special. People spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours looking for these special little guys, myself included. I've spent a ton of time over the past few years building my shiny collection. However, something that I've noticed is that the amount of time it takes to find a shiny Pokemon for the average player has significantly decreased with each new game in the series. Something that once took hours can now be done in just a couple of minutes. This is because there are several new methods that can increase your shiny chances, and on the Switch, you're just seeing more Pokemon on screen at once with them all appearing in the overworld. Since I've been doing a lot of Pokemon art recently, a thought came into my little head. Would it take less time to find a shiny Pokemon or draw a shiny Pokemon? And that is where this video's experiment begins. So here's the hypothesis. Shiny hunting in the modern Pokemon games has become so easy that it would take less time to find one in-game than it would to draw the same Pokemon from scratch. And here is how I'm going to test that theory. I've picked out 3 different shiny Pokemon that I want to find, with each one more difficult to find and generally more difficult to draw than the last. I'm going to search for each of these shiny Pokemon in-game and figure out how long it takes to find them. Then I'll draw these Pokemon and record how much time that takes and compare the results. At the end, I will see which one took the most time and then come up with a conclusion. If 2 or more of these shiny hunts take less time than it takes to draw them, I'll conclude that this experiment was a success and my point is proven. And if that isn't the case, well, worst case scenario, I just get a few new shinies from my collection. But that's enough yapping. Let's move straight into shiny number 1. Okay, so as you can see, we are here in Legends EA, Lumiose City. Let me introduce you to the squad before we get to the hunting. We got Huckleberry, the starter Meganium. We got Psychic Embrace, the pre-order bonus Gardevoir. We got Goob. They're just Goob. We got Noodle. I love Dragonites, so we love Noodle. We got Doom, the introductory rogue battle Absol that you get to start the story. And then the Zeraora you get in this game, 02. The first and easiest shiny that I'm going to be going for in this experiment is a female Meowstic. I'm specifically looking for a girl one because I already have a shiny male Meowstic in my general collection, and the female has a different form that I want to obtain. I chose this one to start because looking at its design, it doesn't seem like it'll be that difficult to draw. Meowstic is technically an anthropomorphic animal, which would usually be a bit tricky for me, but because of its cartoonish proportions and simplified arms and legs, I don't really need to worry about the most complicated parts of drawing a creature like this. As for the shiny hunt itself, Meowstic will be incredibly easy to find. In Pokemon Legends ZA, we can use Hoopa's Donuts with sparkling power to increase our chances of finding shinies in pockets of hyperspace. In this game, a Pokemon's traits like shininess is re-rolled every time you use the fast travel. If we find a hyperspace area with Esper or Meowstic, we can just fast travel there repeatedly until we find a shiny. This means that with the Sparkling Power level 3 Donut and the Shiny Charm item, per Pokemon spawn, we have a 1 in 585 chance of finding a shiny. That might not seem like super high odds, but considering that we are doing on average 4 resets per minute with 15 to 20 Pokemon on screen, we are seeing about 60 to 80 Pokemon every single minute. Or we could also just find it immediately. That could also happen. Plus, once we get the shiny, we can check out its cool new Mega Evolution that it got in this update. As you can see on the map, there is a hyperspace wild zone containing Esper, which we can go after and then catch as a shiny and then evolve into Meowstic. And as soon as I enter this with Sparkling Power 3, I am going to start the timer and see how long it takes to find a shiny female Esper. Alright, let's do it. Time starts now. So funny thing about Sparkling Power 3 is that you get a guaranteed random shiny that is like forced to spawn in when you use this power. That's why there's a mission at the top. It says to catch a shiny. I'm trying to find what that shiny is, because if it's Esper, that would be super cool. Come on, buddy. Come on, Goob. You can do it. Yeah, good job. You made it. Oh. Oh. You see that? That is a shiny Esper. And what's And it's a girl. Oh, they're gone. Nope, nope, stop. Oh, it ran away again. I'm gonna spend more time trying to catch this thing and actually finding it. Oh my gosh, can you stop? Can you stop doing that? There we go. Hey, we got it. And the time? 3 minutes, 19 seconds. Catch a shiny. Now, can we draw a shiny Meowstic in that time? I don't think so. Now for the nature guess. I'm gonna guess what nature it has. And I'm gonna guess quirky. She is modest. A little modest lady down here. Glorious evolution. Oh, she's so prim and proper. Now, what do I name you? What nickname do I give this little lady? Everybody meet Debbie. Oh, looks so cool. I love the colors of this shiny. And the Mega Evolution is so nice. Now let's watch Debbie attack some civilians. Oh, Debbie, you didn't do too much damage there. There you go, much better. You did it! I'm very proud of you, Debbie. That's very good. Alright, now I am in Procreate, and I'm going to see how long it takes me to draw the same shiny Meowstic that I just caught. In all of my most recent Pokemon art, I've been using the following method to make them. Gathering reference images from in-game sprites or artwork from the trading card game, drawing the outlines, laying down the base colors, and then using blend modes to render them. Then I put the finishing touches on, such as reflected lights, specular highlights, and adjusting the gamma and color balances. In case you were wondering why this drawing looks so pixelated, let's just say I'm working on a very small canvas. That's because these drawings that I'm making for this video are just a small piece of a much larger Pokemon-related art project that will probably get its own video in the future. And if you want to see that when it comes out, be sure to subscribe. It's free, and it gives me a warm feeling in my heart. With Meowstic in particular, there isn't too much to talk about with the drawing process. I guess the hardest part was just the colors of shiny Meowstic being very similar to the background color that I was using, which meant that I had to work a little hard to make sure that this Pokemon stood out better by looking at my values. The final result is that the drawing took 17 more minutes to do than it took to find the shiny. I liked it. I liked this Meowstic drawing. Let's check the time. 22 minutes. That is a bit more than 3 minutes and 19 seconds. In terms of which one is shorter, that's 1 point for the shiny hunt being shorter and 0 points for the drawing being shorter. I don't know why I put up 2 fingers there. Let's see what happens next. My next shiny hunt takes us back a game to Scarlet and Violet. Hello gamers, welcome to Scarlet and Violet in the Paldea region, where as you can see, we have some mountains with some very high polygon counts over here. As I did with Legends ZA, I'm going to show you my team that I'm running with. And as you can see, we've got Harry, my starter, Twitter, the bird, we've got the Wiggles, the Wug trio, Lancet, the Armarouge, and we got Lol, the Clodsire. He's very friend-shaped, and a level 100 Tiny Fennekin, because I'm obsessed with this Pokemon. As you can probably see, we are in Scarlet and Violet on the Switch 2, which means that we see a lot of Pokemon on screen at once. And that is how we are going to get our shiny. Here in Paldea, I'll be looking for a shiny Sawsbuck, specifically in its winter form. This is because it's another one of those specific shiny form variants that I don't already have in my collection. I'll be using Sparkling Power sandwiches for this method to increase my shiny odds. And with the Shiny Charm and Sparkling Power level 3, we get a similar 1 in 683 chance for a shiny. So let's go ahead and make a little sandwich. Everyone loves a good sandwich, right? This is very riveting gameplay. Oh, no! Oh, now doesn't that just look delicious? A tasty Josh original. Our time has begun. Let's start the timer and find a shiny. What makes this harder than the last hunt, despite having very similar shiny odds, is that Sawsbuck is a much harder shiny to spot. In Legends EA, you know when a shiny spawns because there's a visual sparkle and sound effect that lets you know you've encountered something special. In Scarlet and Violet, there is zero indicator that a Pokemon is shiny outside of its battle. Sawsbuck's shiny form does not look too different from its normal form, which meant that it might be hard to pick out a shiny one from a group. It doesn't help that the lighting in this game makes it even more difficult than usual to tell apart the slightly different shades of brown we're working with. Something I did not realize until I actually started shiny hunting was the fact that Sawsbuck spawns surrounded by groups of Deerling in this game, which meant I had to check for those shinies as well. And what I was keeping an eye out for was the flower on Deerling's head, which goes from yellow to pink in its shiny. Oop, that's a shiny. That is a shiny Deerling. Let's go. Oh, they're cute. 8 minutes, 32 seconds. And what are we going to name it? Lil fella. He's just a little fella. As for the nature guess, I'm gonna guess Sassy. Jolly. I said I was gonna get Sawsbuck, and I'm gonna get Sawsbuck. Nice. Looks barely any different from the original, but lil fella, big fella now. I am back here in Procreate to draw, just like that. Now just imagine we turn those scribbles into a Stantler. I said Stantler again, I meant Sawsbuck, you know what I mean. Sawsbuck is more difficult to draw than Meowstic because of its proportions. Sawsbuck is more closely resembling a real-life deer than Meowstic resembles a real-life cat. While I've drawn four-legged animals before in the past, I haven't drawn them nearly as much as I have for two-legged humans. My experience in this field is not as strong, which means it's going to be a bit more difficult to get right and take a bit more time. Similar to Meowstic, the most important part of this drawing was just making sure the colors that I used stood out against the background. I think I am officially done with this shiny, I almost said Stantler again. This shiny Sawsbuck drawing. 29:59. Almost exactly 30 minutes. Took us 8 minutes to find the shiny, 30 minutes to draw it. That's 2 for 2. I don't know, he's cute. Our little fella here. I like how he turned out. That brings us up to 2 points for the shiny hunt being shorter than the drawing, 0 points for the drawing being shorter than the shiny hunt. Welcome to the Galar region, Pokemon Sword and Shield. We have very good-looking trees here. Let me introduce you to my Galar team real quick. We got Magmortar. The final shiny hunt of this experiment was for Duskform Lycanroc. This is a pretty unique Pokemon since in order to get this special form of Lycanroc, you have to evolve a Rockruff with the own Tempo ability. This is an ability that cannot normally be found in the wild, so I'll be using the Masuda method to get one. When you put two Pokemon of different languages in the daycare in any game, the eggs that they lay will have an increased shiny chance. With the shiny charm, this means that I'll have a 1 in 512 chance per egg. If I put an own Tempo Rockruff that I caught myself with the Japanese Ditto in the daycare, the eggs that are laid will have an increased shiny chance and are guaranteed to pass down the own Tempo ability to their offspring. This is a shiny hunting method that you can do in almost any main series Pokemon game. However, I'll be doing it in Pokemon Shield, since this is my favorite game to hatch large groups of eggs in. Even though the odds are slightly better than previous hunts, this will most likely be the longest hunt of the bunch, because it takes a much longer time to hatch eggs than encountering wild Pokemon. Spoiler alert, this was indeed the longest hunt of the bunch. I've got this foreign Ditto here from Japan, and this Rockruff with the own Tempo ability that I will be putting in the daycare to make some eggs together. Unlike the last few hunts where I was kind of expecting them to be within 30 minutes or less, this one is probably going to take me a couple of hours just because I've done so many Masuda method egg hatching shiny hunts in this game before, and I'm kind of used to how long they take.
I'm not really gonna do this entire one on my capture card like I've been. It's probably gonna be a few hours to do this shiny hunt. I would love if it was quicker though. That would be pretty cool. That's about it. I don't have anything to say. I'm gonna go shiny hunt.
A few moments later.
All right, I am here. It is 11 p.m. I'm visiting some family right now, and I am doing the name every single Pokemon right now. We are almost finished in under an hour, so that's pretty cool. I wasn't actually expecting to get the shiny while I was here. I was just kind of doing it on the side, but you know, here he is, the dog. Do you have a nature guess?
I'm guessing careful.
I'm gonna guess quirky, and it is Hasty. Oh man, he's so cool. Look at that dog. My family member here has decided to name the dog Dabudi after the famous song, I Am Blue, Dabba-dee Dabba Die. Oh, where'd the focus go on my camera? That hunt took exactly 877 eggs, according to my counter. And a little under 11 hours. I don't think it's going to take that long to draw, though. In other news, we have completed the naming every Pokemon challenge in an hour and 3 minutes. We're so cool.
It took me 877 eggs to hatch a shiny Rockruff, which is over the odds of 1 in 512. This shiny hunt was just one big fat reminder why I don't really shiny hunt nearly as much as I did a few years ago. The fact that this shiny hunt took so much longer than the others just further proves my point that shiny hunting takes much less time in the newer games. What took me hours to do in Pokemon Sword and Shield can be done in just a few minutes in Scarlet and Violet or Legends ZA. Welcome back to Procreate, where we are doing another drawing. That's all I have to say about that, so I'm just gonna get started. On the drawing side of things, I knew that Lycanroc was going to be the most difficult one. It has realistic dog-like proportions similar to Sawsbuck, but with a lot more complexity in its mane and fur. Unlike Sawsbuck with its hooves, Lycanroc has sharp, pronounced claws that would add a bit of an extra challenge that wasn't there before. But at this point, it was nothing I couldn't handle. And there you have it, the third and final drawing of this project, our shiny Duskform Lycanroc. He looks pretty cool. I like how this one turned out. I forgot to mention this, but our final time to draw Lycanroc was 57:33, which is a bit longer than I would have expected for one single Pokemon to be drawn, but it's still shorter than the 11 hours it took me to get the shiny, so that's something. And that concludes my little shiny hunting art experiment. But how did I do? 2 of the 3 shiny hunts that I did for this video took less time to find than draw, and as I expected, the 2 shortest shiny hunts were the ones that I did in the newer games. Point proven! However, just because shinies take less time to find now doesn't mean they have less value. I am a believer that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. A shiny that I caught in 3 minutes in Legends ZA might not be that significant to my personal collection, but what if someone like Little Timmy from Ohio caught that same shiny and it was his first shiny ever? It might mean a lot more to him than it does to me. The first shiny Pokemon I ever caught was a shiny Pikipek almost a decade ago in Pokemon Sun and Moon. To other people with a large shiny collection, a Pikipek might not mean that much, but to me, it is one of the most valuable shinies in my collection because it is the one that kickstarted my love for this hobby. My favorite thing about shiny hunting is the stories that form around each unique hunt. If you're able to tell a cool story about how you found a shiny, it doesn't really matter if it's common or rare. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. I really appreciate it, and since you made it to the end, that means that you guys are the real shiny. Alright, that's all I have to say. Take care, and I'll see you later, hopefully, if you decide to watch another video or something. I don't know. I don't know what you do in your free time. Just do whatever you want. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! That's a shiny Lechonk!